Today, I want to teach you that journalists use all the techniques at hand to engage their readers' interest and shuttle them toward a bigger truth. One important way they do this work is to use narrative and information writing techniques to build tension right from the start. Writers, at the start of a piece, whether it's narrative or information writing, a lot of the qualities of good writing will be the same. For instance, that you need to engage the reader right away. You know you need to introduce the central idea or meaning of your piece. I sometimes think then of the techniques I've learned across narrative and information writing, and I turn to those when crafting leads that will try to both engage my readers and lead them toward the central meaning of my piece. Let's look again at what I started last week about the Holland teenager. Go ahead and pause the video so you can read through what we wrote. Writers, you already know from writing literary essays, blogs, and arguments that writers can move between information writing and narrative, that sometimes you might offer up some information to give context or to explain things to a reader, and other times you storytell to provide compelling examples. Today, let's look at how, as you move across your piece, you can use information writing as well as narrative, and you can stay focused on building tension as a way to unify the piece and ultimately to build meaning. To do this work, let's try adding on information parts and story parts to this piece. I'm going to show you 3 different possible leads that I've drafted. In each, I'm trying to introduce some tension around the central issue. Will you look over these and compare which one you think might be most effective? Here's the first one. Pause the video so you can read through. Here's my second version. Go ahead and pause the video and read through this option. And here's the third option. Again, go ahead and pause the video and read through this third option. So here's what I would do. I'd read each lead and think, what work does each beginning do? How does it hint at the central issue in a way that builds some tension and will let me get at some bigger meaning? I like the second one because it gets you into a story, but I also think the other two give a lot of facts that are helpful, and they sort of set up everything that will happen later. The third one would be good if this were a community paper, like the ones you read at a local coffee shop, because it really talks right to the neighbors and it hints that there's local trouble. The third one will get the readers more interested, and if it's a local paper, it really shows that there's trouble in the neighborhood. So the first one is good because it gives a lot of important information and it kind of foreshadows what's next. It makes it seem as if the kid is about to sell the parking space. So it gets to that bigger meaning that it's not only that there's trouble with parking, but that kids are constantly misunderstood. Okay, so I think you could defend any choice. The point is, each of these leads works to engage the reader and hint immediately at the central trouble. And they each do this work with different techniques that you've learned from narrative and information writing. Now it's your turn, writers. Go back to the lesson platform for your next activity.